You are watching the Global Gamers Invitational Tournament brought to you by iFixit. SCVs for the real world. The Handsome Nerd attire for the handsomest of nerds. And Esports United, sponsored by Intel. This broadcast is also made possible by CapochP, TeamLiquid.net, and of course, Blizzard Entertainment. Hello everyone and welcome back. This is the Global Gamers Invitational. I am Mac, here with Railcoon of CapochP, and we are bringing you Game 2 between these two Protoss players, TT1 and his opponent Capoch. We are on Delta Quadrant, and the winner of this series will move on to the semifinals, where all the prizes are available to be won, and those prizes provided by our sponsors. They are, of course, iFixit, SCVs for the real world, Esports United, sponsored by Intel, and last but not least, the Handsome Nerd attire for the handsomest of nerds. Now, I know you really want to talk about this decision by Capoch to play on this map, and I want to try and preempt you if I can, because I want to try and sound smart for once. I'm guessing that given Capoch likes the 4-gate, as we saw last game, and we know historically from him, he wants to build a proxy pylon at that little gap in his opponent's base near this destructible rock, so you can warp units inside your opponent's base and catch him by surprise. Is that what you were thinking?
Yeah, either that or there's some tricky things you can do with putting pylons up on the high ground if you get a warp prism. There's a lot of different things you can do with tricky warp-in locations, and that's what Capoch is really known for with his warp gate strategies. Either like warping in insidious little spots where you might not notice it, or nice warp-ins up the ramp with a really well-placed pylon on the low ground, so that you get some zealots up and use those to help break the defenses.
Now, we'll have to follow this.
So
we'll have to follow this probe carefully to make sure it doesn't plant any insidious pylons. We don't want to miss those. Those are very important. I'll get back to you there. So what you were saying?
Another favorite thing for Capoch is to drop like 4 to 5 pylons in your base so that you can't kill all of them, and then just like warp directly into your base. So if you scout Capoch and you see there's 4 warp gates on the way, you still don't know what's actually going to happen, which is what makes them kind of dangerous. He's really good at controlling them. But like I said, he has been branching out from that recently, and we'll see if he's going to throw in anything different. Did we really crash it? No, we're fine, I think.
Excellent. So we are seeing, once again, mirror builds by the two players. They are virtually identical. Slight different timing. The Cyber Core of Capoch is earlier, strangely, given his earlier scout, but we are getting a second gas for TT1, same as last game, and no second gas yet for Capoch. So maybe we'll be seeing the same build, a fast Robo Bay for TT1, and some 4-gate pressure from Capoch.
Yeah, he's saving up the energy on his Nexus again, and like you said, he doesn't have that extra gas yet. So it does look like he is indeed going to be going for that same 4-gate strategy. Chrono boosting the Cybernetics core and checking down in his base for proxies, and then we should expect to see some extra gateways here from Capoch in just a little bit. TT1 comes back into the base, delayed scout, and you'll see that the Nexus energy was pretty high, so that's going to be a really big tip-off. Capoch is going to do the same thing. See gateways number 2 and number 3 being dropped. Number 4 should be pretty shortly afterwards, as he still has that energy stockpiled into his Nexus for getting this warp gate out really fast and then just being able to warp in a ton of units. And there we go. There's the pylon right where players love to place it on this map. TT1's checking down there. He's going to find it.
He certainly does.
Capoch is going to have to find somewhere else to put it. This sentry has a hard time shooting it from there. Problem is that warp gate's almost done, so TT1's not going to be able to kill that pylon. He's going to have to try and watch both of his entrances, which on this map is going to be really tough. As you can see, warp gates are just finishing for Capoch. These are all going to warp in right now. So he's got the ability to warp in now. And he's got this pylon that's placed so that he can warp in on either side of it. So you see that he's actually warping in on both sides. These zealots are going to be able to create a distraction, and then the other forces hopefully going to come up the front. So you see TT1's leaving a couple sentries at his front door, and gonna try and hold off the aggression from the back as he does. Nicely played here by TT1. He does want to make sure he's watching this front door though. There we go. There goes the sentry. So TT1 is playing this correctly. Oh, but he can't get the force field up in time. So those stalkers do make it up. There's a big engagement in the back door area. but it looks like Capoch is actually pulling ahead in that engagement. The Immortal's blasting those 3 Stalkers. So if he can get that Immortal back to reinforce his units that are fighting in his back door, he might be alright, but things are looking pretty good for Capoch right now.
Yeah, but if TT1 gets that shield energy back on the Immortal, his abilities get focused down. There it goes. Capoch does get it, is down. Capoch gets that key building, or key unit rather. He is suffering some pretty heavy casualties, however the Immortal did its damage. He needs to warp in lots of units, and he's going to have a hard time doing that because he unfortunately is a little bit behind in the economy, so he'll try to keep out as best he can, trying to focus down this pylon. There are sentries and an Immortal. Will he get a force field up in time? It looks like, yes, one Zealot will be sacrificed, and the rest of them are actually trapped there in the is that the natural, or I guess the secondary natural
just
expansion?
Call it the back door. It's
the back door base.
So
Capoch he's stuck there. He can't get out. He is going to engage. There's the
force field misses, though. There's a lot of those forces still up the ramp. Oh, the Stalker cannot actually fit through that, but the Zealots could. So this Zealot will be able to squeak through. There comes the second force field. That will lock that off much more effectively. And he will just barely hold off these units once more. If we look back into Capoch's base, he's adding a second gas. And he might be dropping that robotics facility soon because he's at the 200-100 mark. Might see him do something similar to what he did last game, but these Immortals here by TT1 are doing a great job. This one's going to fall down, but a second one comes out right as it does get taken out. Capoch is trying to kill some probes, but he just hasn't gotten that many. TT1's still up by 2 workers and is adding more gateways now. So if he's actually able to afford the extra gateways to get more units out here, things aren't going to be looking very good for Capoch because he hasn't started an expansion at all, and he's still on just 4 warp gates.
Yes, I imagine the fact that Capoch started to target the probes, that was a real indication that he had given up on the 4-gate tactic. Instead, he is going to back off for a while, so he's going to try and get some last-ditch kills, try and even things out. He is only behind by a single probe, not IS-2 now. Neither of them neither of them have cleared out an expansion. Capoch is taking out those destructible rocks to open and pave the way, but TT1 will have no difficulty securing expansion of his own because he did so much damage to Capoch's army during that skirmish. The Immortals really are just so strong, and while Capoch was very good about targeting them, he didn't get them down quite fast enough. They still did a ton of damage.
Yeah, and every time he got an Immortal down, there was another one just coming out. TT1 was able to keep them alive just long enough that there was always at least one Immortal on the field. And that's really important. Now that he's actually stockpiling them, he's got 2. He's now free to start teching up even farther, get some Colossus out, be able to use that to shut down any possible Colossus play, force field play. You can see TT1 is checking everywhere for pylons because Capoch does drop pylons everywhere. There aren't actually any around the map at the moment, but TT1 is showing he's familiar with Capoch and that he's really good at hiding pylons in places that you wouldn't expect him to. And he's got this pylon out here out in front, which makes me think he's going to try and drop an expansion, but he hasn't gone for it just yet.
Looks like he is maybe moving out. Now is a very good time. He almost has that robotics base. We might be waiting for a Colossus timing attack, but Capoch is very vulnerable. He's behind by about 1,000 resources because of that exchange earlier that did not go in his favor. He is reaching for the Nexus, and that, of course, is putting him behind. There it is. TT1 is building Nexus of his own, so maybe not planning for an immediate attack, but I wouldn't be surprised if he presses out with that Colossus, because he does have a few sentries with energy, has 2 Immortals. He is well poised to do some serious damage. Of course, Capoch, though, he's got sentries with force fields, so you can hold out with pretty much anything when you've got that.
Yeah, the problem is that robotics bay just finished, so once those Colossus are going to be out for TT1, he's going to be able to break force fields if he's careful about it. Of course, your Colossus actually have to come up closer to break them, but if you do a good job of controlling those, you can move them up just to make sure that you can get up the ramp. So TT1's going to be able to bust a ramp open while Capoch really can't. He's trying to get that robotics bay, but you can see he's behind. Oh, Capoch is moving out in the middle of the map. TT1 will chase him back up into his base. His Colossus is following right behind. There's a nice force field by TT1, locking half the army of Capoch out. Those units are all going to die. They're going to get trapped back into that corner. The Colossus is just going to melt them. Capoch is going to throw up his own force field, but there it goes. Stomp. TT1 just says, no, I'm going up into your base anyway. And this is looking really, really bad for Capoch right now.
Yeah, this base is going to get wrecked. He has one chance to try and hold off his opponent. He needs that Colossus to go down, but the force field placement by TT1 is just perfect. He can now target those gateways with impunity, and it's looking like Capoch is getting ready to GG. He's asking to reschedule because of lag. That certainly would explain why he's losing 2 games, in case you didn't notice. And Colossus timing push shows its strength, so powerful, and Capoch's base is toast. So he'll be choosing another map facing elimination.
I'm sorry, I'm just laughing at TT1. So yeah, it looks like TT1 just wants to play out the series, and we're gonna have to see what map he's gonna choose. I don't know if they actually played on separate days. Do you?
We'll find out from the chat. We'll have to watch that in subsequent games, but I'm waiting for it. It's got to be any moment. There it is. I see it now. Yeah, it is a GG.
So this is okay tomorrow then.
GG, yep. And we will be moving on to Game 3 tomorrow, which is now right away. So stay tuned. And we will have Game 3, possibly the final match in this series. Capoch down 2-0.